Wouldn't it be nice to look at the world through rose-colored glasses, getting to see things in new shades and colors? Well, sometimes that happens when we hope that it doesn't, and it becomes the editor's job to fix it. This week, we're going to look at some common tools and techniques to do basic color correction to fix our footage. Put down that textbook and stop and smell the flowers. We're cutting class. I love it when I get to sit down in the edit bay with some great looking footage to cut. But let's face it, you don't always get what you hope for. You end up with some footage that needs a fixing. Color correction isn't just for bad looking footage though. You can have a good looking shot that with a few brush strokes can become a great looking shot. So why don't we just cut to the chase and get right to work here. Here's our source footage. As you can see, the color here is not quite natural. Our goal is to not only correct it, but to make it so our subject matter really pops off the screen. I'm going to be using the basic color correction tools in Final Cut Pro, as these are standard tools whose techniques will translate over most editing apps. Our image here looks a little bit flat, so the first thing we want to do is adjust the luminance values of our image. We want our blacks to be black and our whites to be white, with a full range of brightness in between. I'm going to apply a three-way color corrector to the clip and open it in my viewer. The playhead in my timeline is going to be positioned over the clip so I can see it in my canvas window while I make adjustments to the filter in my viewer window. I'm also going to open up the video scopes, which I find under my tools menu. These help me evaluate the clip and the changes that I make. For more on scopes and how they work, check out Techno episode 207, Scope in the Fields. You can find it on the DJTV archives. The three-way color corrector gives us three color wheels from left to right, reading black, mids, and whites. Under each color wheel is a slider that corresponds to the luminance values of that range in the image and how it responds to the overall levels. I'm going to do this manually because one, I want to take more control over the look of our image, and two, because most auto level select tools, they only really look at the brightest and darkest portions of the image, and we need to consider more than that. Our subject lies somewhere in that middle range, so that's the part we want to consider. First, I'm going to adjust the blacks. These are the darker values in the image, so the parts in the shadows. I want to drop these down because with a flat image, we want to stretch out our range of luminance values. I'm going to slightly ease the slider to the left, being careful not to flatten the dark areas to all black. I still want a range of tones within my shadows. While doing this, I want to check out the waveform monitor and the histogram in my tool bench. What's a histogram? Let's find out.
The histogram, a slideshow from adjunct propaganda. When the cow in the corner moves, advance to the next slide. Moo. This is Jimmy. Moo. Jimmy is sad because he has to figure out a way to look at the dynamic range of luminance values in his images. Cheer up, Jimmy. Have you checked out your histogram? No? You don't know what a histogram is? Let's ask the professor. Moo.
The histogram is a graphical display measuring the dynamic range of our luminance values, with 0 being pure black and 100 being pure white.
Moo.
The greater the lines towards 0 on the left means a darker image.
Moo.
And the greater lines to 100 on the right, the brighter the image.
Moo. Thanks, Professor. Now you know, Jimmy. Go on and play with your pixels, you rascal. Moo.
Interesting. Kind of like a waveform monitor on its side. Well, for true color in our image today, we want our luminance values to expand, filling out this range we see in the histogram and waveform. Next, we'll adjust the white parts of the image, determine which part or point in your image you want to be pure white in terms of color and brightness. Let's slightly tweak the slider of our whites to brighten up the image, but not so far. If we're losing clarity within the highlights, then we've gone too far. Again, check the tool bench here. We want our blob of lines to just kiss the 100 mark in the histogram. Okay, now we're ready for our first bit of actual color correction, and remember that we want our colors to look natural here. To the bottom left of each color wheel, we have an eyedropper tool. Let's click on the one underneath the whites wheel and take the eyedropper icon over to the canvas. I'm going to zoom in here and find a pixel that I know should be white and click on it. My highlights shift in color as a result. There seems to be too much orange in the skin tones of my subject, and my trees aren't green enough. I want to draw that out, so I'm going to take the color control indicator, this little knobby here in the middle of my midtones color wheel, and pull it away from the oranges and towards the cyan target on the color wheel. Yeah, now see how that changes? Happy little trees. They're much greener now. Now we're going to color shift the blacks. The easiest way is to repeat what we did to adjust the whites, our highlights, and that's to use the eyedropper under the blacks color wheel and select some pixels in the image that are black. This can work really well, but I've also found you can run into some problems here. If the blacks, the shadows of your image, are shifted in the same direction as your mids or your highlights, you're going to end up with a color wash. For effect, this can be alright, but if we're looking for a realistic color, a wash isn't going to cut it. A simple trick that I like to do is to determine where the majority of the colors live. In our image here today, most are within our midtones. I'm going to simply shift my shadows in the opposite direction of my midtones. This helps contrast in the image. When we've adjusted our color to our liking, our perception of the luminance values in the image will be changed. So we now want to readjust those values. I'm going to start by gently bringing up my midtones, just a hair. We want to brighten the image a bit, but not cause the whites to blow out. If I need to, I'll go back and adjust the whites and blacks accordingly, finessing them gently. Check out your histogram and your waveform, and notice how they move whenever you adjust your sliders. Now another little trick just to make those colors pop is to tweak the saturation up just a hair, and voila! Don't think of color correction as a technical chore. Instead, think of it as painting your footage. You can massage and knead the color and luminance of your image into the vibrant landscape that you want. Play around with your footage and your color correction tools and just see what you can come up with. A wise man once said, "We don't make mistakes, we only have happy little accidents." We'll see you next time. Happy little trees.